Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to our podcast where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. And each week we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry, and today we have an amazing guest joining us, Nathen Mazri, who is co-founder and chief value officer at eGeez. And actually, we had a great chat just before the podcast. So I'm really excited about what's going to be talked about today because I've got that high energy already, thanks to you. So first of all, how are you? And welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'd like to come with a warning. I'm a loose cannon. I could say whatever's on my tongue.
Perfect.
Okay,
we can be mutually liable.
Nickelodeon called me an anomaly. So, and that's just growing and growing. It's not going away. So be careful. I'm not going to be like your typical podcast that I saw on your channel. It's going to be different.
That's perfect, and that's what
And
you
I
want to
told
see.
you
So
when you wanted to interview me, I told you I don't want to fit this channel.
yeah, we can have dual liability, right, for the things that we jointly are going to say during this. So good luck to the lawyers at Temi for this one. First of all, we've got to pay homage to the T-shirt. So can you just show us briefly the T-shirt because the camera is just slightly off. Yeah, you've got something hiding there, right?
It's
There
just
we
my
go.
customized
There-
T-shirts. It's
Perfect.
customized. There's only 2 in the world now, and I have them.
Really? Is that the case?
Yes. It was for my world's first officially licensed Garfield lasagna and Garfield shaped
Yeah.
pizzas restaurant in Toronto and Dubai. And we used to sell merch, so that was a customized merch by with Jim Davis that we did. I think I
That's
did that one with
incredible.
Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Yeah, because Garfield is like the leader of the team. So you're being Garfield today, and I'll be Cody, your useless cohort.
Yes,
So I think that'll be
perfect. I can get to bully you.
I've got the
I'm
tongue.
good at
I've got the
that.
tongue. Well, okay. This is before we even started. I knew it would be like this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about yourself and the company that you work at.
First of all, I'm a big fan of licensing. That big L word has just driven my life since the get-go, since I founded Garfield Eats. I mean, first of all, I didn't know Garfield Eats would be such an internet virality that would attract fans and trolls. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know Garfield was had a satire underground brand. I started to learn more about IPs at age 27 years old. So it's been almost 10 years, maybe 9. I'd like to say 9 years, but it's been 10 years now. And it's amazing how a man, he just wants one year less. But no, I really don't care. I think I still look like 27.
You look great. Yeah.
I got to start
And
thinking.
from one old man to another, you can still count accurately. So when you get to my age, you don't even bother
I
counting
still
anymore.
get 29. I still
Yeah.
did, I swear I still get 29. But I'm proud, I'm proud of where Garfield has taken me. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to open the franchise of lasagnas. I wanted to be the next McDonald's or Burger King of lasagnas. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to open 200 locations. We came from a franchise business. My father owned most of the Canadian franchise brands across Middle East. He moved from Montreal. I moved briefly, then I went to Toronto. But he's in Dubai, and he led the major franchises: Mr. Sub, Juga Juice, and Van Hoot Cafe. They're all leading Canadian brands. He was shocked about the American presence and no Canadian presence. And he did try to bid for Tim Hortons. We lost it to some billionaire, and it's okay. But thank God we did.
You're not bitter or anything, right, Nathan?
No, not at all. Thank God we lost it because it's such an operational headache. And we didn't, and we were the type of entrepreneurs where we always thought, okay, waiting. The Garfield also taught me that opening the franchise, the restaurant, it's an operational headache, but also waiting for one customer to bring you $15.99. Sometimes you have to wait all day for that to come. But when I licensed Garfield, I understood the difference between engagement and conversions. I understood between impressions and purchases. I understood that fans wanted to just take photos. They wanted to come in and not buy a thing, perhaps, and go back,
Mm.
go back out, just for the memory of it. Perhaps we could have been expensive just because, especially in that geographical area, the regional area, franchise is all about location, location, location. And I did choose the wrong location among many other wrong things I did. And I always say to the youth right now, make mistakes, fail. It's okay. I mean, who created that word fail? There's nothing called fail. It's called trial. I tried. And if you're not trying, just sitting in your mother's basement doing nothing, you're never going to amount to something. You're never going to do anything. You're just going to be fearful and just criticizing everybody on social media, trolling everybody till suicide hits. And I faced that. I'm one of those who
Mm.
got death threats. I faced it. That was at the peak of Garfield Eats when
Oh,
it closed
really?
down. Oh, it was, I think the virality of Garfield Eats and where it has taken me online in the internet, calling me this strange hybrid in this cultural era, and the internet will never forget, according to Eater magazine. And they just keep going and going, from YouTubers, doing cutouts of my face and Garfield, and just, criticizing, creating a story or whatever fits their narrative, their brand, using me as a clickbait, and Garfield and others, and, they make a living out of it, and that's okay. I always thought it would be nice to share the revenue. I don't care. Show me all
You
you
may as well
want.
get something out of it, right?
We gotta pay the bills. I get the inflation. I understand the war going on. I get it. But it started with Garfield, and it started then with that restaurant. And I understood that an IP does not necessarily translate to a revenue. Licensees. I was a licensee working with a licensor. It was Jim Davis back then, who owns Garfield. I went to Muncie, to Pause, and just fabulous Christmas dinner, and just what a great. I saw him as a godfather. I thought he's going to be my next mentor. He's just, he's a legend. And sitting beside him, emailing him, and just, he told me once, in 40 years, Nathan, I've never had a young rebel do a cutout of Garfield, Garfield's face, to create a Garfield shaped pizza. I mean, yes, that's true. I was a rebel, but I was ambitious. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to do something. I wanted to leave a mark in the world. I knew life is too short. And I've read
Yeah.
all the books. I've read all the, how to be happy and how to make money and how to do this and if you want to be that, you got to do that. And here's the 9 steps. That was all BS. It was all
Mm.
BS. Everyone's journey is so personalized, so customized. And so that's entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, really. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't. That's my advice to
That's
you.
that's the first piece of
That's
advice.
the first piece. You run an entrepreneur podcast channel? Well, here's my advice. Don't be an entrepreneur. But it's not entrepreneurship. It's really hustlership. I need
Mm.
my Valium and Ativan. That's where I put them. Like, I put my pill. Tell your lawyers I did that. I put my pills right here. I fit them right here in my Tic Tac, Garfield Tic Tac. But as a licensee, I understood the relationship and the problems and the challenges that came between a licensee and licensor. And also, I understood the problems and the gaps between a licensee and a fan. So Zara, H&M, these are companies that license IPs. They're all licensees, and they must license it from a licensor, such as Warner Brothers, Disney. And there's about 212 IP owners. And we would know, and I'll come to that, because of eGeez, but in our metadata. But and now you see an emerging creators who own their own IP, like we see Mr. Beast. Now he's working with Moose Toys, and he has his own toys, and that's a licensing deal right there. His chocolates are not necessarily. That's his own, personal merch, personal products, his own brand, but. He did license to Moose Toys to create toys, for example, the Mr. Beast toys, and so there's such there's so many talented creators in the world, whether it's on TikTok or YouTubers and artists and illustrationists. They have their own cartoon, like Has Been Hotel. Now they're on Amazon Prime. It started on YouTube, and I mean, it's amazing, and they don't necessarily know about licensing. And so that's a big gap right there. It's not democratized yet. it's not democratized completely like the music industry is democratized, for example. Now everyone can be a taxi driver. Taxi transportation is democratized. Short-term rental, Airbnb is democratized. Everyone can rent their home. Now you're in the real estate short-term rental business. So licensing has not been democratized yet. And that's where eGeez comes in. For 10 years, just watching from far away hurts me. It hurt a lot because I just really wanted to launch. I wanted to launch. I wanted to start this business. I wanted to solve a problem. Of course, generate sales, grow a company, any entrepreneur's dream. And it turns out I've been, in 10 years, 5 years was me being a licensee and emerging to a licensing tech and an AI, winning a grant under the Canadian government and being a scholar at Licensing Executive Society, and launching my scholar paper. I released my scholar paper in Les Nouvelles that came out on June 5th, actually. You can check it out. It's a 60-page scholar paper about why licensing has no metadata. And so all these years has prepared me, which I thought was just an eGeez app, which is a marketplace, a centralized marketplace that operates like Tinder, geolocated licensing products as per the licensing territories. So there's compliance there, and the licensed products will appear in your licensed territory. So a Spider-Man bag that's in UK will not be able to ship a Spider-Man bag to USA because they don't have the licensing territory for USA. So we solved that with an app at lowest prices in the licensing industry, and that's a deal we make with the licensees. So it's directly from licensee to fan, no distributor, no toy store. So that there is no marketplace right now for licensed products, and licensed products are fragmented. They are inundated with counterfeits, with other Mickey Mouse counterfeits, fake products. How do you tell which one is real, which one's fake? There's not even a barcode or a special unique code or an identifier that says that's licensing. You really have to read the trademark, the copyright laws. You have to educate yourself and say, okay, maybe the counterfeiting company maybe faked this product and they just put the Disney clause on the back. Is it true? Is it not? Did they copy and paste? You have to look at the features of the Mickey Mouse toy. You have to make your own judgment. And so that was a problem. So that's what the marketplace was all about, and it still is. We still have it, and we just finalized development this year. Actually, we had such trouble as a startup. You bootstrap, and you raise funds from family, friends, personal funds, and you have problems with developers that come and go. Right? There's high employee turnover, developer turnover, but that's why it took us quite a while. But it's no longer an app. It's now an entire cloud infrastructure. It's a whole, there's a layer of there's a marketplace layer, B2C. There's a B2B market layer for B2B, which is licensee to licensor. It became a whole royalty tracing, benchmarking, royalty live tracking, the sales and the appropriate royalties to that sales, and not making sure that there are no sales reports that are frauded. There are licensees that upload sales reports. Imagine the licensing industry still works on Excel sheets, and they would show lower sales to pay lower royalties, for example. So that shouldn't happen. It should be traceable. There should be automatic reconciliation. Softwares that exist today works on Excel sheets. You have to upload, and you can just trace what the sales they're doing, whether it's from their POS or other marketplaces. And so that's what we're doing at eGeez. And imagine all the data. Imagine a unified, centralized place for everything licensing, in terms of licensed products, in terms of licensees, licensors, the data, in terms of licensed products, where are they sold, which licensed territory, all the data globally. Did you know does not exist? It does not exist. United States Patent and Trademark Organization, USPTO, they have a database, of course, of trademarks. Now, do you have a database of all the licensees and licensors and all the royalties and who paid who, how much? No one has it. Not even WIPO or WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization. They don't even have it. No one has it. And they speak, and they go and speak about the World Economic Forum, and and they talk big words, and they talk AI. But this is one of the major issues Nobody talks about, and they claim, according to Licensing International, which has done a lot of work and it's a nonprofit and they're very active, and they claim that they're a $369 billion business. I would like to look at that. I really would like to look at that. The SEC filings of all the royalties from the major public companies, they're available at SEC. What about the rest of the like I was a licensee. Where would mine be? Where would they be? How would they be traced? Where would they be reported? Where does it sit? And so there's $70 billion of licensed consumer products retail level. 70 billion that's just owned by the giants. That's owned by the top under 10 licensees in the world. That's it. And they say it's a
Wow.
369 billion. They say it's a 369 billion. That's okay, fine. But 141 billion, eGeez only occupies and addresses the 141 billion. What's the 141 billion? It is the entertainment consumer products, like the one you see right here. It's
Yeah.
it's a consumer products based on entertainment characters. This is a consumer product. And so, that's a 141 billion. Imagine half of it is already occupied by the big giants. Hasbro,
Yeah.
Mattel, Spin Master. Those are all, they're the giants that those are mostly the toy, in the toy industry, for example. You got Jazzware now, and so what about the rest of, whether it's emerging licensees, medium-sized licensees that are not public? Where is all the data sitting? And how do you make better decision making? How do you get decisions on where do you go right now, like a Bloomberg terminal? Where do you go, like a Bloomberg terminal, for licensing to make decisions on IP, a movie, the next toy, looking at lawsuits that happen between a licensee and licensor, how not to make the same mistake, a new clause that should be suggested? This is all what we're solving, powered by AI. And it took what I thought would take 2 years to just launch an app. And I was so, crazy about it at 34 years old. And oh my God. And it dragged and it dragged. But the idea became bigger and bigger. There was a bigger problem. And that takes perseverance. It takes patience. It takes a crazy man. And so that's I think, I'm hoping God chose me for that mission, because I have to launch now. It's gonna be I'll become a mockery if I don't launch. But I'm so passionate about this problem. And yeah, I mean, most people think licensing is about contracts.
Yeah.
I think that's why the licensing industry is broken.
Would you describe yourself as a fan first and an entrepreneur second?
Fan first, of course, and we're
Yeah.
all a fan. You're a fan. An investor that I met is a fan. A doctor is a fan. A lawyer is a fan. A judge is a fan. Trump is a fan of himself. Everyone is a fan. He's a fan of his own merch. I mean, everyone is a fan of something, and that's what's cool about it. Because anyone you talk to, you automatically, eGeez automatically relates to everyone and everybody, all the stakeholders around me. So it's easy to talk to them about it. But once I open my mouth about licensing, and they think it's contracts. They don't get it. It's a lot of education development. When I sit with investors, like we're closing a round, a pre-seed round, and it takes a lot of education and development. And some sign, that's another hurdle there too. Some sign the safe agreements and then they don't wire. Some say you got my word, and then those are things that also startups face as well. But
Yeah.
it takes a lot of perseverance. You just got to believe in it, and just keep going. It will manifest on itself, because that's the way life goes. It's the way God operates, I think.
Does coming at it from a fan first perspective change the way that you approach licensing? Would you approach it if you weren't a fan in the same
Now,
way?
as a fan, if I understand your question correctly, because I'm ADHD and AAA and BBB and CCZ, I'm everything. I got all the conditions. But if I understand you correctly, when I look at toys right now, no, I see things differently. I do see things differently. Every time I go to a mall, first of all, just to let you know, we've indexed over 50,000 licensed SKUs in the world, and we keep going every day through our AI workflow that we created. The licensing consumer products indexing, something like that. I called it a cool name. I gave it a cool name. And we've been indexing SKUs all around the world. And every time I go to the mall, and I check a product and I'm like, oh, who's the manufacturer? I bet you it's Moose Toys. And I'm like, oh, that's Moose Toys. I already got them. I already have them we already have them in our Reaper. Oh, look, this is a product by Bumpkins. Have you heard of Bumpkins, Barry?
No, I
But have
haven't.
you heard of Hasbro?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Well,
Yeah.
Bumpkins is a medium size or small medium sized business led by women, and they're a licensee that make beautiful Disney baby products like Mickey Mouse and Goofy and others. They make, maybe not Goofy, I think, but the last that I saw, they made beautiful baby products. No one knows about them. Why? And that's what eGeez would do. It would
Okay.
highlight the licensees. You'd come to a place just for licensees. And plus, they keep most of their margins. Amazon takes 40% from them. So we have a lot of benefits that eGeez does for them. But you see, you didn't know about it because she's somewhere, her beautiful innovation and a beautiful licensee. I see licensees as artists now. I see them as artists and they deserve to be tipped. And and we're gonna have a tipping option in phase two, and I'd love that. And I want to tip those licensees because you know what? It's not about companies getting a $5 or $10 or $20, but it's about the emerging creators on YouTube that have their cool cartoon and it has 1 million views or 1 billion views, and they know nothing about licensing. They have their few little t-shirts, but that's something where eGeez can come in. You can upload them. Everything is structured. You can make most of your margins. Allows you to focus on your content and maybe launch more other products, cool products as well. And so that's I do look at things. The licensing industry, yes, for sure, I look at it differently. Like I'm no longer crazy. I can now understand the hype. Like I can see Spin Master, they launched Toy, an egg where you tap it, the dinosaur releases from the egg. I don't know if you saw that. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, those bastards. Oh, they're good. They're great. I saw
They beat me to it.
yeah, well, I don't want to be a toy producer, but yeah, I would be nice to have it on, for
Yeah.
example, on eGeez. It would be beautiful to have it on eGeez. And it's cool. I really look at things and my mind just goes ADHD, just and you should see the notes that I have on licensing. Like it's from now till 5 years. Like I have a
Wow.
vault. I call it the blue vault. And I met an investor. He exited at $300 million. And he's like, Nathen, I love what you're doing. Your value proposition, it's so clear to me. When can you launch? When can you make revenue? Can you make $1 million in 6 months? I'm like, and he told me, and he said, I was telling him about, I just lost my chain of thought. It was something important. It'll come back to me.
That's
And
okay. Don't worry. We'll
oh,
wait. We'll wait on the edge of our seats for it.
yeah, but no, it was about my notes.
Yeah.
He said,
Okay.
Nathen, we come to you for licensing expertise. No one is going to be able to bundle and package this as you do. It's like, when you're starting up and you have fear, you have to have high defensibility. First of all, your company has to have, you don't have to have a patent for defensibility, but the packaging of the know-how of the founder, the tech, the vision, the planning, the execution, everything comes together. You can't just go say, oh, I'm going to do an app right now for licensing. Yeah, let's see how this goes. And so there's so much that goes into it. So defensibility is one thing that they should take from this podcast, this interview. They need to find out because many people have ideas, but there's no defensibility. You're spending time on something where you're just going to fail at this trial, I like to say. It's okay to fail, but it's also okay to be a little bit smart. And so, yeah.
Nathen, do you do this because you just genuinely love the fandom, or is it just making tons of money?
Of course, I want to give my mom the best life, even though she does have it. I don't know how high can I go with her, but of course, I would love to be. We're pushed by the mainstream media. 30 under 30, Forbes, this billionaire, because sells young men toxic masculinity. Tate, or this guy has 6 Lamborghinis and 10,000 girls in a mansion. Dan Belzalari, we're fed with abundance. We're fed with dreams and ambition. We're fed. I've been fed with that. So you can't blame me to say, hey, I don't want to be that. Now, there's a big difference. And I think God is just amazing. He looks at the intent, he looks at the heart of a person and really wants to, try not to make you that, because people change when they have money. There's something in the DNA. People just change. God knows what's
Yeah.
in that. You won't know. You won't even know. I don't know. When you get that 9 zeros, 10 zeros, whatever it is in your account, something sparks, and God knows
Oh,
if
I want that spark.
you don't, because I
Well,
think you're in a better place. You would have been dead by then. I don't know. You've been skiing somewhere or jumping from a helicopter because you got so much money and you die. There's
yeah,
so much. I feel, destiny is really planned out nicely, and you should just have acceptance and gratitude and just trust it, trust the process.
yeah.
But yes, I do want to be, I want to have first of all, a company where I can talk to people and say, oh my God, I use your app. Or if I talk to you next year, maybe you say, "Oh my God, I order all my license stuff from you."
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool to be on people's phones in and part of their lifestyles in their household. That's cool. This is one thing. That's what drives me every day. Is I don't want to be. I don't know if I fear of it or it's something instilled in me. I don't want to be forgotten. I don't. I want to be always remembered. I want to be on people's top mind. I want to be loved.
What
And
do you want to be
maybe
remembered
that comes
for?
with being single. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
just it will go away
yeah,
later, but I don't want it to go away because it's driving the hell out of me.
yeah.
But yeah, it's
How do you want to be remembered?
surely I want them to say that he is the guy that made a dent in the licensing industry, and I want to be taught. I want my mechanism or methodology or my case study. I want it to be taught to the youth. I always say youth, and I have two books, and I'm working. That's a duology, and I have two books. I just released mine last week, or May 28th. It's called Ataraxia, and I think the
I
world is
saw this on your website, right?
yeah. And I
Yeah, okay, yeah.
and eGeez brought me to ataraxia. Entrepreneurship, it does that to you. It's a scary world. It's a lonely world. It's a dark place, and you can't get any.
Just for those who might have misheard, you're not saying anorexia, just to clarify, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
ata,
yes,
yeah.
I'm just clarifying because I
And
remember the
maybe you
book.
can
Yeah.
write it in your editing,
Yeah.
ataraxia, and you all get a discount. I'll give you a
Yeah.
code. You can use it from only found at Barry. But
Perfect. Thank you so much.
yes, no problem. But anorexia is a sense of inner peace, or sakina in Arabic. Sakina, this inner peace of whatever happens. Whatever happens to you, whether you got a cease and desist, whether you got a termination, breach of contract, whether you got whatever it is, it's okay, and it
Mm,
passes, and you trust the process. It's just absolute inner peace. But I'm really saying inner peace in terms of it, it's engraved with acceptance and gratitude. It's not just, oh hey, people are like, oh yeah, I don't mind if this happens to me, I'm used to it. But no, they're still unhappy deep down. They still want something. There's still, I just go with the flow. Really, I do what I have to. I do what's necessary. I do what's needed, and I go beyond. But there's some things you can't control. I can't control the investors, so there's
yeah.
things you can't control. So I think if it's meant to happen, it will happen, like Airbnb happened, like Kellogg's happened, like any other brand that you see happen. If it's meant, it will. And I fear for the youth. Why? Not just because of AI and its sophistication and where we're going in anthropotic. They own what's the company called? They own Claude.
Oh,
And
I can't
I
remember off the
always
top of my head. Yeah.
yeah, I always forget their name. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But
Brandy
it,
doesn't work very well on me, unfortunately.
right. Whatever they're, whatever, or OpenAI, whatever, all these big companies and AIs and giants, they're even saying, "Oh, we got to stop. We got to stop. It's going too fast." And so I worry about the youth. Yes, for sure, I worry about the
Mm,
youth, and I don't know if they're going to introduce universal income or that. I don't know if that's where we're heading. But all I'm saying is, I worry about the youth. I worry about their mental
yeah.
state. I worry about the discrepancy and the gap between what they're fed with the mainstream media and what they want to be. There's a big gap right here. Dreams and abundance, and that's. But now they're becoming more aware, and I like that. And they know, as a founder, I think as a company, they want to see realness. They want to see authenticity. They want to see not being woke, but being aware. not being aware. I think that's what's resonating. And they're, now you could see unclean ingredients in food. They're careful. We've been lied to. There's corruption. So they're waking up to this. The new generations. You know why? I've studied the new generation. They're all around me. The fans. They're on my Discord. They're on my Instagram. I learned so much from them. I learned cool new words as well. Like, I didn't know there's a whole society that teaches the young men not to heal their porn addiction, and it's called NoFap. And I didn't know that is a thing. And I found out, the word cool means based for the Gen Z. All these things. It's a lot to keep up with.
I'm learning now. I'm learning all these new things now. I'm a Generation Xer.
It's important. I think it's important. And AI is important. I think AI
Yeah.
is crucial. If you don't do something in AI, I think you'll be missing out on potential revenue for sure. Don't be coming and asking me for a job later on, because I really want to keep my company, and I think we can do that. I want to keep my company under 10,
Okay.
reaching $1 billion valuation. I can see that. I can see the trajectory, the forecast that has been done by our investment advisory, Into Capital in Dubai, regulated by DFSA. So I can see that trajectory, and it's possible with AI being so mean and lean. I think that's important. That's another thing they can take from the podcast, is being mean and lean, and where every dollar goes. One of the milestones, I think there's two milestones. Actually, there are more than that, but two main ones that made me feel reassured about eGeez is benefit and solution, and that it's really solving a problem. To have a scholar paper peer-reviewed and approved by editorial board under the Licensing Executive Society, Les Nouvelles journal, and where it's been reviewed and they agreed and say, yes, there is a problem. Wow. That means I can't believe. Sometimes I have to pinch myself, saying, Nathen,
Pinch myself.
you're either so smart, and people around you, your brother and sister, just keep calling you stupid, and you start believing that you're stupid. But you pinch yourself and say, you solved a problem right here. It's an industry-wide problem. You haven't solved it yet, but you did identify it. And so it's interesting. Yeah, I think every day you need that dose of reassurance for sure.
Lovely. Nathen, you've taken a breath there, so I'm going to take this opportunity to quickly jump in and thank you for introducing me to a new experience, which was finding someone who talks more than I do. So this is the first time it's ever happened. So thank you very much for introducing me to that experience. And we've even gone over time. I had prepared 40 questions for this session, and
I've answered them all in one question.
You have. I was like, answered that one, answered that one, answered that one, answered that one. And the question that I usually ask is, what advice would you give to people who want to start? And you started it, and you've answered it at the start of this show, which was,
I've answered that
don't do
already.
it.
I'm not doing it again.
Don't do it. Exactly. So Nathen, look, thank you so much for coming. It's been such a fun exchange for me, and I'm really pleased that you came on. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Problem,
it's truly been a pleasure. Right, Nathen, thank you so much again. That was Nathen Mazri, co-founder and chief value officer at eGeez.